Iridology is an alternative diagnostic technique centered on the art and science of analyzing the characteristics of the iris tissue, such as patterns, structure, and color, for the purposes of determining the strengths and weaknesses of a person's health. Iridology is a non-invasive form of analysis, meaning that it requires no cutting, or X-rays, or any other invasive technique to conduct the health analysis of an individual. The iris represents a communication system, capable of handling an amazing quantity of information. The iris is connected to every organ and tissue of your body, via the brain, through the optic nerve, and the central nervous system. The optic nerve is responsible for linking the main communication of everything going on in your body. Nerve pathways all over the body continuously send information to the brain, via the thalamus and the hypothalamus. These two parts of the brain are the monitors for all ongoing vital activities in your body, and are connected to the blood vessels, muscles, and surface of the iris by nerve fibers. Physiological changes develop in the iris tissue when the nerve impulses are relayed from the thalamus and the hypothalamus via the optic nerve, revealing information from the various parts of the body. As we grow older, changes in our health are reflected in our eyes. These may appear as clouds or marks or discoloration in your iris. By studying and identifying these changes, you can detect health imbalances early on, and preventative health measures can be recommended. The use of iridology will interpret signs in the iris by studying pigmentation or pattern changes. Pigmentation changes correspond to stages of inflammation in the body. These stages of inflammation can be expressed as follows: acute stage, subacute stage, chronic stage, degenerative stage. With an iridology analysis, you can gain great knowledge and help yourself in identifying the following: your health levels and transitions, your genetic predispositions to any diseases, any mineral or vitamin deficiencies, any bowel problems or digestion tendencies, your colon conditions, any organs under stress, your natural ability to recover or bounce back from an illness, your body's constitution, any inborn strengths and weaknesses in your body, internal inflammation, toxicity levels, the location and stage of any issues. The iridology analysis is conducted with the help and use of an iris chart. An iris chart is a map, finely detailed over years and years of intense study and observations. The go-to iris chart of today is that of Dr. Bernard Jensen. Dr. Jensen's map is the fruit of 50 years of research. He spent many years as a student of past masters of iridology, and has brought forward and incorporated those aspects and details proven to be accurate by verification in clinical practice. As stated, the chart represents the placement of organs and tissues as would a map. Each organ is identified and those of major importance are outlined, so that they are easily located. Take note that all the different parts of the body represented on the iris chart are laid out in sequence, as they are in the body. Both the left iris and the right iris have their own charts. The left iris represents the left side of the body, and the right iris represents everything going on in the right side of the body. The reason it is considered that they are separate charts is because both the left and the right iris charts are mirrored opposites of each other. For example, in the left iris, the lung is located at 3 o'clock, while in the right, it can be found at 9 o'clock. For the purpose of this presentation, I will speak of the positions of the left iris chart. Picture the iris as you would a clock. It is compartmentalized into 30-degree increments, or every 5 minutes. From 12 o'clock, the brain is represented, being the highest point of the body. Both the areas positioned at 5 to 12, and that of 5 past 12, are where the different parts of the brain can be detailed. Both the physiology and the psychology of the brain are represented. Continuing with the left iris. Remember, whatever is positioned in the left iris is mirrored in the right. From 1 o'clock until 2, we have the neck area, including the ear and the shoulder. From 2 o'clock until 3, the left lung and the heart are detailed. From 3 o'clock until 4, the thorax is represented. Also, the arm and hand can be found directly at 4 o'clock. From 4 until 5, the upper abdomen is detailed. This includes the spleen and diaphragm, among others. 5 until 6, the lower abdomen is located, including the pelvis and the groin area. Just shy of 6 o'clock, we have the hip, the thigh, the knee, and the foot represented. Notice how they are detailed in order. From 6 o'clock until 7, the kidney and the adrenal gland can be found. From 7 through 8 until 9, both the lower and the upper back are located. From 9 o'clock until 10, the throat is represented, including the thyroid and the parathyroid. From 10 until 11, everything on the face is detailed. These are the positions of the left iris chart. Notice the mirrored opposites of organs in the right iris compared to the left. The biggest difference being that the heart can only be examined from the left iris, while the liver can only be examined from the right iris. While the iris chart is used to detail and analyze the organs and tissues of the body, broken into 30-degree increments, as you would see a clock. The iris can also be mapped into 7 concentric zones. These zones can quickly locate the different systems of the body, its vital organs and glands. Starting from the pupil, working outward. Divide the iris into 7 circular zones. This concentric/circular zone chart is a sort of go-to, quick guide to locating the different areas of the body, before delving deeper into an analysis. In Zone 1, nearest the pupil, the stomach can be found. Zone 2, the intestines are located. Zone 3, the heart, the bronchi, the pancreas, the adrenals, the pituitary, the pineal, and the gallbladder are located. In Zone 4, the skeleton system can be found. Zone 5, the brain, the lungs, the liver, the spleen, the kidneys, and the thyroid can be found, among others. Zone 6, we can find the circulatory system, the lymphatic system, the muscles, and the motor nerves. Zone 7, the outermost zone, is where the skin is located, just as it is located on the body. Sensory nerves can be found here also. 7 concentric zones. The first thing an iridologist will look for when reading the person's iris is to determine what type of constitution they have. The person can either have a strong constitution or a weak one. Having a strong constitution is an indication that a person can bounce back from or fight off an illness much quicker than a person with a weak constitution. A person with a weak constitution may take longer recuperating from an illness. This is an example of a strong constitution. See how the fibers of the iris are finely woven and appear close together, as opposed to someone with a weak constitution. Notice how the fibers are coarse and split apart.
Lesions, lacunae and crypts are the iris signs that lower constitutional value. These signs appear as holes in the iris tissue. Depending on what stage these holes have progressed, will determine if they are either lesions, lacunae or crypts. This is an example of a lesion. See how one end is opened up, while the other end is closed. Having one side open is an indication to the iridologist that this tissue is active, in that nutrients, circulation and metabolic functions are flowing through the tissue, be it at a reduced rate. This will give the person having their iris examined the knowledge to know that preventative measures can be taken. The term lacunae is used to describe a lesion that is closed at both ends. This means that the tissue has been encapsulated. This is a clear indication that no nutrients are reaching that part of the body. With proper nutrition, these effects can be reversed. Crypts are those lesions which are small, closed, and usually very dark. These are an indication of a chronic condition. Often we will find a white line around the outside of these markings, indicating scar tissue has formed to fortify the encapsulation, giving the client good cause to work hard on healing and rejuvenating these areas. A scurf rim is a darkened circle around the edge of the iris, in zone 7, where the skin is found. It can be in parts, or it can circle the iris entirely. A scurf rim is an indication that the skin is underactive and slowly eliminating toxins. This happens when toxic materials build up in the skin, such as solvents, fixatives, paints, fertilizers, pollutants, and other air and waterborne chemicals. There are effective ways to combat this condition. Nerve rings, or neurovascular cramp rings, are indications that the person is under a lot of nervous stress. The placement of the nerve ring can tell the iridologist what part of the body is under stress. Whether it is in the muscular system or the digestive system. The iridologist can note the origin and intersections of the rings, helping the client to pinpoint the complications. Radii solaris are elongated and darkened lines that branch out like spokes on a wheel. Their origins are often found in zone 1 and 2, the stomach and colon areas. This is a sign of a toxic, slow-moving bowel. These radii solaris originate in the transverse colon area and radiate out towards zone 6 and 7. Consider these lines like funnels, allowing toxic materials to flow out to the different parts of the body, causing the person great unease and discomfort. These are clear indications that the person needs to cleanse and detoxify the bowels and bodies. A lymphatic rosary is a band of bead-like spots that circle the iris in zone 6, where the lymphatic system can be found. These are a clear indication that the lymphatic system is not functioning properly. As a result of this, The body will become heavy with mucus and toxic materials. For a lymphatic rosary to appear in the eye, the iridologist will know that this person is in a chronic stage of health. The iris signs leading up to this will be from a subacute stage. What can be looked for here are irritations, including white wispy lines and gray cloud-like patches on the iris, or covering the iris completely. The work of the lymph system is to carry waste materials away from the body. The lymph fluid is 4 times greater than the blood. The blood feeds the cells of the body, while the lymph cleans them, removing any material that body has no use for. Unlike the blood, which is pumped around the body, to move the lymph the body must be active. The autonomic nervous wreath is the name given to the portion of the iris that is 1/3 of the way from the pupil. Inside this wreath lies the organs of digestion and assimilation. The stomach, along with the large and small intestines. This wreath separates these organs from the rest of the body. This feature is useful to utilize when considering detoxification and replenishment of cells. The vitality of these organs are essential to the health and well-being of a person.
Taking an iris photograph. It is very simple to take an iris photograph. Key points to remember are: Number 1. Adequate lighting. 2. A good quality camera phone. 3. A light source. 4. A friend or relative to assist. Simply position your iris towards adequate lighting. Illuminate the iris with a light source. Position the camera between 2 to 4 cm. And take the photograph, making sure all areas can be seen. For analysis,